Good morning, everyone. I am Kanashka Verma, and I have today Pratyush Vempati, and we are thrilled to introduce you to a group of incredibly talented and accomplished individuals who have made their mark in various fields. Each of them brings a unique set of skills and experiences that have contributed to their success. Together, these individuals represent the very essence of talent, dedication, and accomplishment in their respective fields. We are in for an enlightening and inspiring fireside chat as we delve into their journeys and gain insights from their expertise. But who are these people?
Gursartaj is currently a VP in the M&A team at Barclays, India. He has previously worked at Citibank and Nomura. He holds an MBA from IIM Bangalore and specializes in finance, consumer electronics, and making Lego videos. Gursartaj joined Exun in 2001 and was president in 2006 to 2007 and defines it as a describing phase of himself. Sampoorna lives in Vancouver, Canada, and was a member of Exxon from 2008 to 2010. She's a machine learning engineer these days, and when she's not at work, she can be found camping in the mountains.
We also have with us Samir Chadha, who is an Exun alumni batch of 2019 and holds a BSc Economics from Narsee Monjay Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. He is a global real estate advisor and sales executive at India's Sotheby International Realty.
Sneha Chandra is an undergraduate student studying materials engineering at Nanyang Technology University, Singapore. She was the president of the student council of the school in the latest year, 2022 to 2023, and is an amazing designer.
Before we start, I would like to take a moment to appreciate the founder and leader of Exim, Mr. Mukesh sir. For the past 30 years, he has guided us and mentored us. And on the occasion of his birthday, I'm interested in hearing about your most cherished experiences with Mukesh sir while your time at Exim.
Right. So can any of us go, or you guys pick and choose?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Please. Yeah.
I mean, Mukesh, sir, we have countless memories, mostly because I used to be sitting in every class in his lab. I wouldn't be in class, so whenever he used to be free, we used to be there together. So we have countless memories. I would say 80% of my school day would be spent with him, which is not a nice thing to say or for you guys to take on forward. But Mukesh sir has been a very inspiring figure, I think, in all of our lives, just because the amount of dedication that he put into the work that all of us were trying to do as a part of Exxon. And we took on a lot of those values from him that we kept trying to put into our daily work at Exxon. And those things are something that at least me personally, and I believe everyone that I know who's an Exxon member has taken on to their daily lives. Just how to handle people, how to react or interact, how to hold composure, how to carry out different tasks at different levels. It's all been a super experience, and I think Sir has guided us on all of us from a very early age of our life, and that is something that I really cherish and look back to.
What
Yeah,
about
no,
you
so
guys?
yeah, no, I, you know what, Samir has stolen the words out of my mouth. It's exactly that. I met, there were three of us when we joined Exxon. We all met Mukesh sir. We literally just walked into his room and said, "Sir, we want to make this website," and we heard somebody travel to the UK as a result of this, so we are also going to do that. And he was like, "Sure, guys, go ahead." So I think one of the things, there is no moment, but throughout the journey, as Samir said, he's been a big guiding figure for all of us. I know when I was in school, and you're still sort of developing, he was right there, and he would let you sort of make mistakes if you had to, and then had your back, to give you that support. Always open. His door literally was always open, and much like Samir, I was always myself, and Dhruv and Abhishek. We were always in his room, and he was always fine. He, all some of the best values that I still carry forward today, right, is do come from that period of my life. So I'm incredibly grateful to Sir, and we're still in touch with him. If there's one person today who were to message me or call me at any time of the day, for whatever reason, it is Mukesh sir, and his message or call I will respond to and pick up, regardless of where I am. And that's what happened yesterday as well when he sent me this link for the stream. It was 7:30 in the morning, and I got up and joined it. So that's the level also of mutual respect we have for each other. I'll not talk too much. Please, guys, go ahead.
Sure, I can go. I think both what Sameer and Gursartaj have said, I'm just essentially echoing them because, like in college and undergrad, organizing something of the level of Exun is kind of common, but at school level, it's not. And I think that Mukesh did a really good job in building a community, not only where people were trying to discover all these interests outside of like extracurricular interests that at that time at least wasn't that popular, but also developing these skills in terms of putting together a city-wide event like Exin, right, which is with a lot of different logistical challenges. And just like Gursartaj said, Mukesh sir was always there, but he would encourage the students and the members of Exin to take charge. And I really liked how that provided an opportunity for us to develop skills that I don't think we otherwise would have, at least not in school. So yeah, really awesome stuff.
Sneha, what do you have to say about this? You're the latest batch of Exun.
Yeah, so I think everybody pretty much covered all of it. It's very hard to overstate how much of an inspiration Mukesh sir is. Like the way he pushes you and like motivates you to do stuff, and like as as much like everybody else, I also didn't go to class as much as I sat at e-vehicle. And yeah, so Mukesh sir would sometimes sit down and like he would have tea, he would offer us tea, and he would like tell us stories about previous batches, and it just made you feel like you were part of something that was so much bigger than you are. Like it made you realize that like Exxon is something that has a legacy of 30 years, and you are a part of that now, and you are a part of this like huge community that extends beyond the school. And it's just like endless support and endless inspiration, and like you hear about stories of people doing amazing things, and then you think that, oh, maybe I can do that someday as well. So yeah, he just pushes you, he inspires you to be the best that you can be, and yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
As well as Mukesh sir, you guys have been interacting with so many of the other CS teachers in the school, like Hema ma'am, Mohit sir. Do you have any other interesting stories you'd like to tell us about them?
I have one. This is class 12. Mohit sir was my CS teacher. And, funnily enough, I never attended his classes either because I was still always in the lab. But somehow, everything I used to do from the notes and generally, like, there was one subject which is not an issue. Now, right before the pre-boards, I had missed a bunch of these classes, which happened towards the end, especially. And this is when we did those Carnot maps and everything. And this is one concept which I did not understand. So I called Mohit sir, and usually I used to call Mohit sir before an exam, and he would be like, "Yeah, yeah, it's good. This is how you do it, etc." But I called Mohit sir and said, I need to do this K maps thing, please. That's when he was like, "Gursartaj, तुम्हारा अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता, तुम्हें कोई नहीं बचा सकता." So I said, "Sir, please, like, let's just assume I will get it. Just please tell me." And he, for like 2 minutes, was just like, "This is one concept just cannot do." But finally, I got him, I got Mukesh sir, I got some of the other guys to explain it to me. But that's one of the moments when he completely gave up on me.
I have a funny story about my computer teacher. I think it was in 11th, but I'm really bad with names. I don't remember her name. Uh, but I think if I vaguely, also my memory in general is really bad, but I think vaguely something like this happens, right? That before the 10th board results are out, you're kind of in a class, but then you get reshuffled, right? Okay. So we were in this class, and it just so happened that twice there was a replacement teacher, and so both times I was like, oh well, this teacher, like the original teacher, is not there, so I'm just gonna go do something else. I was doing something else. Uh, it happened another time, and I was doing something. I went to the book fair or something like that. On my way back to the class, I was caught by this teacher who was the replacement teacher, the substitute teacher. And she was the same substitute teacher both times. So she was like, not only did you bunk the first time that I was a replacement teacher, but you also bunked the second time I was a substitute teacher. And the nail on the coffin is that after the classes were reshuffled, she was our computer teacher. So I had to see her for the rest of the year. I remember the second time she actually made us do like kaan pakad ke, upar niche baitho type in front of the class, and I was like, oh my goodness, how this is so medieval.
That's so interesting. So I want to ask you that how has Exun helped you in shaping you as a person? Like, when you're a part of team working on something, when you're out for discussions with other people, what do you think that Exunites bring out different to the table that others do not really have?
First off, I mean, I would say that the first thing that we bring as Exonites to the table as soon as we get out of school and start a new chapter of our lives is the experience that we've been given as Exon members. Just go out there and do something new that most people have seen, at least in my life, have not got the opportunity to do so. The way we have been shaped in terms of going out and trying to meet other people who we might be looking for sponsorship, we might be going to another event, we might trying to be talking to judges at different events, we might be going through any sort of phase wherein the entire system of an organization is something that we are so well versed with by the time we leave school is not the opportunity that I've seen other people get and other people pull through on. So that is something that I take very, very strongly when I was an Exim member and how it helped me throughout the course of when I moved on to college and subsequently later.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. So for me, similar to what Samir said, it's confidence in two parts. One, incredible confidence in yourself, right? So even though we say we not I've always walked around with a lot of confidence that look, even if there is nobody else to help me, I can completely manage this humongous task if I have to. Right? And I think it only comes from having been to so many competitions. I remember one where this was the TCS IT Wiz in 2006. My partner Dhruv, he just in the final round disappeared. So I was alone on stage. But it was the incredible confidence that Exim sort of instilled over the years, which meant like this is not a challenge. The second is related to this, but knowing that we can do something big, and it's not a big deal. Dealing with when we had Exim, it was like dealing with 700, 800,000 kids over a couple of days. It's even to this day, right? Like college fest and all, I've seen doesn't have as much attendance. So I always viewed it with, okay, I need to do something big, or some 1,000 people in our college need to come together for something, and people were like, oh my god, how is this going to happen? And my reaction internally always was like, is this really a big deal? Because we just need to do what we did back in Exon. So for me, it's those two things.
What about you guys, Sampoorna, Sneha? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I was thinking about, so the first time that I heard of Exim, I wasn't a member, and I actually thought that as a concept that you have a community. So essentially, Exim is a community, and it provides you space to do certain things, explore your certain interests, as well as learn and develop some skills. But beyond that, what I found at that time was kind of fascinating and new was that it wasn't your typical like sports community. It's not like a sports team kind of a thing. It's not like, I don't know, there were other things like where people did public speaking and theater and whatnot, right? Like lots of other extracurricular groups. In some way, Exim provided a number of different, like people, it provided an opportunity for people to pursue a number of different interests, which were in many cases at that time attracted a set of people who didn't find themselves belonging to any of the other extracurricular activities. So, in very stereotypical terms, there would be some nerds and geeks and stuff like that, right? But it was the first time I saw that people were owning the word geek, for example, with pride. And it was not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to, it's not like you're stuck in your room just on your laptop or your computer the whole day, and you don't go out, and you don't, like, you spend all your day video gaming. And the stereotype around that is very antisocial, very like away from things that other people do, and that it's not very community minded. That is the stereotype, or at least that was at that time. And I found that, to me, Exun was fascinating because it was providing space for all of these people to still find their community, and it was celebrating these people, I mean, me included. And I felt like these were some, at that time, still pretty niche interests. So yeah, I thought that was really something very new, that that are some skills that I got from Exun, is like really celebrating even like your niche interests.
That's so true, yeah.
I think everybody
Sneha?
covered like a lot of aspects about what makes Exxon so special, and like that's absolutely correct. For me, Exxon sort of taught me how you value the skills that you have. Like when I applied for Exxon, I was like, I just want to join a club, and Exxon registrations were open, so I just signed up for it. And then I got through Elite, and then I became an ad hoc. And I heard everybody talking about, what an amazing community Exxon is, how special it is, and I was like, what's the big deal? But over time, you actually get to experience just how special Exxon is, and like it's very hard to put it in words. But when I was having my ad hoc interview, the question that Mukesh sir asked me was, "Do you think Exxon members are smart or humble?" And the answer that I gave was, "Why does it have to be either or? Their Exxon members are smart and humble." And partly, I gave that answer partly because I wanted to impress him or whatever. But you sort of realize how true that is, because you value the skills. I've seen my seniors, I've seen my batchmates, I've seen my juniors value their skills so differently. Like it's not that, oh, you can do this and you're awesome, you're totally cool, but you're actually using it for something that is useful and something that is tangible. And more importantly, you're using the skills, the knowledge, the expertise that you have to help others, and you're passing that knowledge on to people. Yeah. And this one quote, which was passed on to me from a senior, which was passed on to them from their senior, which was passed on from Mukesh sir, and is that, you've gotten here so far, and now that you're here, it's your job to help others get to where you are also. So like, not only are you learning from the people around you, you're also like taking what you have learned and you're teaching that to others. And I think that's such a special part of the community that Exum is. Your skills
Yeah.
are not just about you, but it's about what you teach others also.
Yeah,
Completely.
I think it's Mukesh's one of his favorite dialogues that
Yeah.
if you are X, you have to leave a tiny X in the club before you leave. So yeah, you sum it up pretty well. So we wanted to ask you some,
Career-centric
yeah,
questions. So this is for you, Gursartaj. What are some key trends or developments you foresee in the financial sector in the coming years, and how can professionals prepare for them? And how is this relevant to our generation?
Okay, so that's quite a wide question. I mean, I don't want to bore you guys, right? Like, so we are seeing at this point of time, the COVID period was great for the financial industry in general. There was a lot of free money flying around, so there's a lot of investments. You would have seen so many unicorns, etc. A lot of that has stopped, and we all go through these business cycles every 5, 7, 10 years. So I think we're in that cycle now. Um, there is predicted to be, let's say, a recession towards the end of this year or early next year. But those predictions, while they're there, I think the economies are holding up well. Having said that, it's going to be a tough period in the next 18 months. We've seen some slowdown in activity since mid of last year, since this Ukraine war started. Now we're having this another war in Israel. So a lot of these things are playing a part in how investment and everything is being looked at. How does it impact you? And sorry, so that's the macroeconomic part of it, right? Like, of course, there are more technology related trends. We've seen the impact of Gen AI. I think that's been a big discussion topic over the last few months. Now, in this context, right, for people who are younger in any, I would say, any field, not just finance, upskilling is supremely important. You know, the fear mongering around that, you know, you'll get obsolete in a few years, it's actually true, and especially in the technical fields more than anything else. I think technology is evolving very fast. For finance, I think slowly and steadily a lot of the things are getting automated. So luckily, in the kind of job I am in today, it's a little bit more relationship based. So those relationships are more difficult to replace with bots. But a lot of the work we do is getting automated. So you just have to keep developing your niche, and keep upskilling, according to me, to stay relevant.
Right, right. That makes sense. Sampurna, you are a machine learning engineer, and we have recently started like participation of machine learning and events related to machine learning in Exun as well. So I want to ask you that how do you see the future of machine learning and data science evolving in the marketing industry, and what advice would you like to give to aspiring machine learning engineers who want to make a significant impact in their careers?
Great question. Actually, I was just thinking that what Gursartaj is saying is very relevant to my field as well. Um, I won't specifically address the marketing industry because I actually don't know anything about marketing. But in terms of, I mean, I think, yeah, a lot of what Gursartaj said, technical skills are, like there's new technologies that are coming up, and employers want people to know the latest skills, essentially. On the other hand, I also feel like fundamentals are important. So you have, for example, boot camps and stuff that can teach you programming in like 6 weeks, or machine learning in 6 weeks. And there's a lot of these short term masters in data science type, or yeah, like these data science like boot camps essentially, and even master's degrees in data science, which are very broad, and hence don't have that kind of focus on the fundamentals. So I would say if you really want to, if you want a career in data science and machine learning, what have you, focus on the fundamentals, build your fundamentals. Um, but also, yeah, keep an eye out on the trends and see what's up and coming. And I wouldn't necessarily say try to learn every new thing, but yeah, just be aware of what the trends are, and if it seems like the industry is going a certain way, then it would be important, to stay relevant. It would be important to try to learn those skills.
Yeah, that's very fair. Okay, this one's to Samir now. Can you provide some insights on your experience in lead generation, lead management, and audience generation, and how have you achieved success in these areas? Because obviously you have.
So, in terms of lead generation and management and everything, there are countless softwares that these days are out in order to help us do that. Because earlier, at least when I was, let's say, when I was in Exun, the way we used to manage our leads and the way we used to go around it, and we used to have our cold calls, was we used to maintain an Excel sheet, and then we used to have a different set of color codings with yellow, green, and red. And certainly, while you grow your base, while you get more into the business of where you actually have to generate leads just to generate your livelihood, it becomes a more intrinsic factor in terms of how you do that and how you manage that, because it's relationships are something that become very important in a field like mine, especially in any type of sales, to be very honest. And so lead generation softwares these days are ranging from any sort of thing. You can have apps, on your app store, which can help you just give you reminders that you talk to someone, talk to them again. Or then you have a very advanced based skill set of lead management softwares wherein they're actually reading all your emails and messages on your work phone, and then giving you notices on this is the last day you talk to someone, you need to follow up. This is a certain system you need to follow. If, for example, the lead management software that we use is something called Close, and Close actually helps me, match people who might have a certain requirement to where I can fulfill that requirement anywhere in the world on a global scale. So that is something that is done. The other thing that has we've recently just introduced into our field in our company in particular is the use of AI to help find us the right target words, right target ads in terms of laying out campaigns, social media campaigns for our lead generation, and that is something that has picked on really fast. And we've seen a significant amount of increase in the amount of leads that we get, and our costs per clicks have significantly gone down just because of the kind of clientele that we're targeting and how AI has adapted to those certain set of clients. And not just in totality, it is very specific to each particular property that we onboard as a company. And that is something that has helped us tremendously.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, I think that's actually a very useful learning also for us. Um, Sneha, we want to ask you. Everybody we talked to wanted to ask you this question since you just passed from DPSRKP right now. How did Exun play a role in your college application, and how does it give you an edge over others when you are applying for colleges?
Oh, our college applications. So, yeah, Exxon was a huge part of my college application, and yeah, I would not have been able to do my college application or finish my application if it hadn't been for the guidance that I received from my seniors. And like I didn't even realize it at the time, but like as I was filling out my college applications, a lot of my skills, not even my achievements, but a lot of my skills, I only had because I was a member of Exxon. Like not just like I did design at Exxon, so not just design, but other things that were on my application solely because I was an Exxon member. And so like I owe all of that to Exxon, and like just the nuances of the college application, like how you're supposed to write your essay, how you should fill in your marks, the sneaky things that you can do in your college application that are like the top secrets of the industry. You only get that from your like Exxon seniors who offer in their experiences. And like Exxon is such a world of its own, so like we have our own micro celebrities, uh, if that makes sense. So like I'm on this call with three micro celebrities right now, so like that's an experience. But anyway, so now that we have like because of its alumni network, we have access to a lot of people with a lot of expertise that you can um, consult for different things that you want to do in life. So the major that I've chosen, I wouldn't have come across it had it not been for a dialogue that I had with my seniors or with my batchmates or even my juniors. Yeah. So and also being a part of Exxon, it made me more aware of like the world in general, of like what all was out there. So I was in design, but like there are about 15 different departments in Exxon. Each deals with like its very own niche and very specific interest. And yeah, so like it made me aware of like, oh, there's this thing called computational linguistics, or this is how machine learning works, or this is how that works, even though I didn't do it myself, but I had secondhand experience. And that sort of helps you be a part of the world and gives you an edge over other people.
Right, that's so true.
That's very fun.
Also, I feel that it's so beautiful that you try to contact someone who is an ex
Yeah.
alumni from like 20 years back, and they will like, I messaged Gursartaj yesterday, and like instantly I had a response from him that yes, he's interested in doing this, and it's so beautiful. Everybody you mail message, they will be excited for doing something for Exin, and that beauty is, I hope that it stays forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
also right that you mentioned earlier that how it's about passing things on, right? And your seniors helped you with your college application, and personally, Sneha has helped me with my college application, and it's beautiful. It
Yeah.
is that's how Exxon works. It's crazy. Okay, I have a open-ended question for all you. Have you ever experienced doubts about your choice of career in the tech industry? And do you ever contemplate alternative career paths? And if so, how do you manage and navigate such thoughts?
Oh, I can take that one because I always think about this. So what I thought about adding this to my answer, but I thought of it later. What I like about being in my field and like machine learning, data science, and things like that is at the end of the day, machine learning is a tool. So I get to apply it to different industries. So right now, and I know that the reason you asked me the question earlier about marketing is because the company I'm working with right now focuses on marketing. But before this, I was working in another company, which was a data analytics platform for renewable energy. And in that sphere, I got to interact with people who were wind scientists, and they had done their PhD in, I don't know, like turbine design and stuff like that. So just every time I think about, okay, I feel like this field could have been interesting, and I want to learn more about certain things. I try to find a way to do that within my network and see how I can apply my skills. Like in this case, working in marketing, I get to interact with people who work on the content creation side of things. So there are people who work as social media, I guess, marketers within the company, people who like designers within the company. And if I have any kind of curiosity about those kind of roles, then I can talk to them and I can even suggest collaborating with them if it makes sense. So that's something I really like about at least my field, that I can apply it to many different other industries. And that actually that helps me a lot with this kind of existential question about, is this the right decision?
What about you guys, Sameer, Gursartaj? Do you guys have any? I'm not. I didn't ask Sneha because like she's just started college, so I thought it's a bit irrelevant to ask this question.
I mean, I don't have a career in tech, but I've had a career in finance. And to your point, look, I've had doubts. I've actually tried out different things as well. And with time, when I was making these changes as well, what my friends told me was to think about what are the things that are important, right? So um, you realize what are the things that are important to you. For a lot of people, their careers are a large part of their identity. So, and hence you relate to those a lot versus maybe for some it's just something you do for some part of the day. So I think it becomes a very individual choice as to what are the things you value in life and how that aligns in the grand scheme of things. Um, I I did some experimentation. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but it gave me a fair amount of perspective of what are the things that I value and how do I see, my career in that grand scheme of things. So yeah, a little bit preachy answer, I guess, but that's sort of how I've seen things over the last 7-8 years.
Right, right.
How about you, Samir? If you
So for me, I think it's still pretty early on in my career. I'm just in my, I would say, I've just done 2 years of my career. But same as Gursartaj, said that the key thing I think is to experiment because I started interning actually very, very young and I kind of checked out a lot of boxes while doing that. So when I was younger, say I was like 14, 15, I was pretty sure that I wanted to do something in the tech space. And that's when I interned at an organization which allowed me to explore that. And soon after which I realized that it's not for me. It's not a career that I can choose. And post which I explored a few other things, went into corporate, went into consulting, tax, etc. And none of it worked out for me. And I would say Exun as a defining factor for me was when I started handling all the sponsorships and everything back in the 10th grade. And that is what gave me a lot of sales experience. And that is something that I have consistently realized that that is something I can do, I'm good at, and something that I actually like to do. Talk to people, make a lot of calls, talk to new people, close deals. That's something that is very big part of me. And that is what actually helped me today to reach where I am and choose my career path. So I think like Gursaraj said, it's a very big part of people. For some people, your career is what you do every day. I am one of those. And for some of my closest friends, it is not. It is just something they do in the day. They like to do it, but it is not their identity. So I think career choice becomes very personal and can always be reevaluated. There is nothing that is stopping you from changing it even when you're 40 or 50 or 60. It's just something that you want to do and are ready to do.
Right, right.
I
Sneha,
want
do
to
you? Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Can I
please, please.
add something to it? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So as Samir was saying that, I also thought of like this could be useful advice for people is to try working at a startup because in a startup, usually, especially small early stage startups, you can wear a lot of different hats and try your hand at different things. And that could be a great place for you to try like radically different careers. For example, just like digital marketing or something, which you may not even have attained that kind of education for, but when resources are scarce, startups essentially are, they're pretty open to letting people gain that experience. And then you can decide maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but that's also a good way to try things out.
Yeah, that is a useful advice. Yes. There's this one question that I want to ask personally. Do you guys have days when you don't feel like working and you feel demotivated, and how do you deal with that, like procrastination and just not wanting to do things? Because I feel that almost every single day, and I need solutions for that.
I mean, that happens to me quite often. It's See, sometimes you have to power through. Depends, as you grow older, obviously you have more responsibilities, whether it's your job or whatever. And some days you have to power through, but some days it actually helps to just like sit in your room, and not do anything. I think for me, that's a big part of recharging, which is sitting consciously sitting for hours at end, not picking up the phone, not letting the bell ring, etc., and just having that quiet time, which then helps me recharge for the week ahead. But yeah, that's very common. You will find your own your own antidote to that, what works for you and what doesn't.
I can also add something more to that. So, I if that happens to me too, I think it's pretty natural. And usually, I start with what is the reason and what's important. So, those are the two questions I ask myself. If the reason is really just maybe lack of energy, maybe a project you're working on not important or not interesting or something of that sort, but sometimes it could be stressors outside of work that's affecting your work. So maybe you're not able to focus on work because you have some kind of thing happening in your personal life, and your brain just wants to focus on that instead. In those cases, I give myself the space to focus on the thing that is more urgent and more important. And like, this is an example of something where the personal life stuff is more important. Um, Other times, it could be just like you didn't sleep well, so you're having a bad day. So those are things which are temporary. So I feel like, okay, you can power through and get through the day, and then the next day is a new day. Maybe then you can sleep on time and you're ready to go. Yeah, I think mental health is really important, and some days, if you need to focus on your mental health, and that includes things like recharging, like Gursartaj said, doing something else entirely. Maybe you just need to go for a run. Maybe you need to talk to a therapist about something, and you're not able to deal with it yourself alone. Whatever it is, recognizing that there's something that is not temporary, and that needs attention for you is so distinguishing that from when it's temporary and it'll just go away on its own. Those two things, I think, distinguishing between them is important, and accordingly taking action is important.
Right, Sameer, Sneha, do you guys have any advice for us?
So, I mean, in terms of feeling demotivated, like Gujarat said, there can be many reasons for it, and you guys and Luna as well. You guys just have to find what's causing it, and then decide how you want to power through it. Because if it's something that is completely bothering you and there is nothing you can do about it, it would just be take care of yourself first because you're not doing your work justice either. And if it's just something that is being caused by lack of sleep or you're just not in the mood, it's a bad project. I guess it's something that we learn at a later stage wherein we just have to do it. We don't have a choice. because it's a part of what we signed up for, not the most fun part, but something that we have to just suck up and do at the end of the day. And that is how I choose to just differentiate between what is actually a bad day for me, whether I've received bad news, something fell through, what kind of work is happening, or whether I'm actually drained to a different level because I've been giving too much of myself to a certain task when it's not required.
Right. Sneha, what about you?
Right, so I think everybody pretty much covered all bases. For me personally, like whenever I feel like I don't want to do any work, which is quite often, especially now that I've come to college. So I mean, it was a pretty big shift from being like a school kid to being a college kid, especially when you're all alone and in hostel and everything. So one thing that I really struggled with at the beginning was there was nobody to nag you. Like no school teacher would run after you for projects, or your mom wouldn't wake you up for school in the morning. You bus to drive you home, and so like you had to take um, sort of accountability for all of that yourself, and like there was nobody to do that. And so like, it wasn't like I was partying all the time, but I was just not doing anything simply because I had the option to not be doing anything. Even though there were consequences, but like I had the option to, I'll just spend the day in bed, or I'll watch a show and I'll not do anything. So yeah, and it's very easy to get into that pattern, and it's very hard to get out of it. um, but yeah, it's like it's just important to remember uh, what it is in the first place that is motivating you. And I think that when I first came to college, I was not very sure. I was like, okay, I'll get my degree, I'll do this, but like, what is the motivation behind doing all of this? Why is this important to me? Why do I want to do this? And yeah, those are some pretty heavy questions. I never really paid any mind to it. Even when some teacher would say that, uh, college is really hard, you need to be sure of who you are. I used to think that, whatever. But it actually is quite important. And yeah, so just like know yourself. That's the best that I can give you. Like just know how much work that you can do, and what work it is that you want to do, and like how it is that you want to do it. Also, once you get a task done, I feel really, really good. Like I've done this work, even if it's like a small task, like doing laundry, but like it just feels really good, and I hold on to that feeling, and I say that, oh, I want to feel like that, so I'll do this work. So you just find out what motivates you, what works for you, even if it's something small. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I think Saksham has a question in the chat. During your time at Exun, you must have seen a lot of developments and changes in tech. Which moments do you cherish the most in your journey?
Um, right, so this is not really like a personal experience, and this is not something that happened during my time, but this is something that I'm obsessed with in Exxon, and like I talk about this all the time. And it's like one time, Sir was telling us a story about how like a previous batch in Exxon, like a long, long time back, and so they were the first people. They were one of the first people in India to have Gmail accounts, and that blew my mind. That is insane. Yeah, I know. And yeah, so like if you even go to Ellen Exon and you scroll a lot back, all the way back to like 2004, there's a post there by an admiral, and he said, and it says that Gmail is pretty cool. I think you should guys should check it out, or something like that. And that just blows my mind, and it just sort of reminds you that Exon is, matlab, it pioneers a lot of the things in the tech world, and like you don't necessarily realize it. But I think in the previous fireside chat, also like people were talking about how Exim does new things before they are cool. Like we are doing space tech, or XML, or all of these like new and novel events that are not really very widespread in the Delhi tech circuit, or like in the tech circuit in India or elsewhere. But like we are the ones doing it, and we are sort of cultivating interest in these fields. And so that's pretty cool. That's what Exim is known for.
what about you, Gursartaj? Since you were the first, one of the first batches of Exit, so I am sure you must have like amazing things to tell about.
Um, yeah, I mean, see, look, 2000, 2001, we had no smartphones, obviously. So, 2001 is, I think, sometime around that time, Nokia 3310, right? So that's when I saw those old big Nokias, and then over a period of time, 2006-7, Nokia 6600s. I was blown away with what was going on, right? The iPod came around that time, and I think it's possible, Sneha, the person you were talking about, right, is probably Karan Mishra, who ended up working at Apple, um, who mentioned this. So he used to bring an iPod to school. Um, so this is the time I was seeing a lot of these new consumer electronic devices, which were really pushing the envelope for that period, right? And I think I still do that today, where I see that period, 2000 to, I would say, 2008, 9, some fantastic devices, some fantastic innovation that has happened during that period of time. And I still continue to collect. So I collect all of those, like Moto Razors and whatnot, old phones to this day, right? So for me, that was like a fantastic 7-8 year time when I could obviously not afford these things, which is why it was even more fascinating to look at them.
Sampoorna or Samir, you guys want to go? If you have anything to say.
I was just adding on to what Sneha said when she turned around and said that, Exim does things before they're cool. And one thing that comes to my mind, which is very ingrained, is the fact that we took most of the Exim events online before there was an actual need to. And just doing that in 2018, 2019, I think gave us such a boost for why when because when we were organizing the event for 2020, I was working with the members then for just trying to judge the events online, and we were just like, okay, it's not a problem because we've done it before. It's just now we have to just go on in person and try and tweak a little thing. So I think we've been so adept in trying to just do new things in Exim that we don't realize that everyone else is still trying to catch up. And we end up doing something that later we feel there is a need to, but we've already done it. So it becomes redundant in what we are trying to do.
Yeah, I think with this, we've come to an end of the Fireside chat. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you all for coming.
joining. This was a beautiful conversation. And we look forward to talk to you guys in the future as well on new technology topics as we come to new things, like as we go on. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Yes, guys.
Thanks for
Bye.
hosting. Great
Thank
questions.
you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.